Welcome to the show. This was an incredible day on Tuesday with new testimony at the Oxford trial, with new suspects, new cooks in the kitchen, and a damning 911 call from James Crumbley. Because of that, we're going to dedicate this half hour to that trial and see what went on. But first, we got COVID coming up. We got some COVID cases to talk about, which is 6.42 million plus 15,000 in the state of Texas, with almost 82,000 deaths. 89,389 in Wayne County plus 169, over 1,400. 107 people, about 1,000 people have been hospitalized, and over 20,000 people are in ICU. Vaccinations 20.3 have had at least one dose, and 17.1 million have been fully vaccinated, 59.2 and 70.1. Our area schools, well, on the 8th, we had 5 high school students, 3 zeros, 1 independent intermediate student, and lots of zeros. Okay, how about Wednesday? 3 high school students, 3 zeros, 1 intermediate student, 1 zero. 1 for elementary and 1 elementary staff. The rest are 0. Which makes it 17 for high schoolers, 9 for junior high, intermediate students 7, 3 elementary, 5 elementary staff, 4 primary students, 0 primary staff, 1 ECC student, and 0 primary staff, with 1 district, with 1 transportation in 1 district. And still turning down to COVID, a lot of cities with the decline in cases, they are thinking about removing the mask mandate, especially from our local schools. But the question remains, what if the cases start climbing up again with this new Omicron variant? Will we have to go back to another one? Here's the latest from the CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell.
Or public places. Today, 4 more states join. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. Tonight, one by one, states are preparing to lose their mask mandates. At least 9 states in the last few days have moved to end requirements for schools or public places. Today, 4 more states joined a growing list of governors that have announced plans to repeal or lift those mask mandates and let them expire. More are expected to follow suit in the days ahead as Americans are eager to return to life before the pandemic. The 7-day average of new cases fell to just over 230,000 as of yesterday. That's actually the lowest number since December. The CDC today warned states about moving too fast, and they're still recommending indoor mask wearing in places of substantial or high transmission of the virus. CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky said they are encouraged by the current trends, but, quote, "We are not there yet." But we've got a lot of news to get to you, and CBS's Mola Lenghi is going to start us off tonight from New York City. Good evening, Mola.
Well, good evening, Nora. As the pandemic drags on, there are signs of hope tonight that things are getting better. But Americans are frustrated. 46% of those recently polled said it is time to get back to normal.
As COVID fatigue continues, Dr. Anthony Fauci is sounding optimistic.
telling the Financial Times we are heading out of the full-blown pandemic phase of COVID-19. This as more states are easing indoor mask mandates. Today, New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Illinois all announcing changes, joining 5 other states that announced rollbacks this week. Nevada is expected to make an announcement tomorrow.
This is trending in a very, very good direction, and that is why we're now approaching a new phase in this pandemic.
Cases are down 44% from last week and have fallen nearly 70% from January 15th, when Omicron was peaking. But cases are still more than double what they were a year ago. And today, the CDC urged caution.
We are working on, following the trends for the moment. What I will say, though, is, our hospitalizations are still high. Our death rates are still high. So as we work towards that and as we are encouraged by the current trends, we are not there yet.
Joseph Allen is a public health researcher from Harvard.
It's not hands up. It's not the pandemic is over by any means. It's just that we're on the back end of a wave. We should take advantage of this time, pull back controls. We should absolutely continue to monitor the trends.
But the rollback of mask mandates in schools will take a little longer, remaining in place until at least the end of the month in some states.
We're out here now to get the masks off.
In Illinois, local school board officials are feeling the heat from angry parents who've had enough.
It's my children. They're my responsibility.
But only 39% of 5 to 17-year-olds are fully vaccinated, and the CDC continues to recommend universal masking in schools.
At this time, we continue to recommend masking in areas of high and substantial transmission. That's much of the country right now in public indoor settings.
Well, kids 6 months to 4 years old could be eligible for the vaccine as early as the end of this month. But under federal rules, pharmacies, which have played a major role in shot distributions, cannot vaccinate anyone under 3 years old, creating a potential snag in the rollout, Nora.
Mola Lenghi, thank you.
That is some great news. So again, we have to follow these tips as well. We have to follow these tips I've been telling you for almost 2 years, as well as the important thing. Mask, as well as the important thing, masks and vaccines. Get yourself vaccinated, and don't be going too fast. Coming up on Friday, states may reconsider going to part 1 from Tuesday. That's coming from Friday. But when we come back, our main focus, the Oxford preliminary hearing. The Danny 911 call from James Crumbley, the new suspect, and the person who found those text messages but was deleted. More we'll tell you. Tonight, our main focus is the Oxford preliminary hearing. This time with new cooks in the kitchen. We're going to hear from the person who bought the horses, the friend of Jennifer Crumbley, the HR boss, and the damning 911 call that was played in court on Tuesday from James Crumbley. Let's get you up to speed here before we get to the court. November 30th was the day that the shooting started. The person who did this was Ethan Crumbley, and then days later, the parents were there. Ethan's now charged with murder, and the parents are charged with involuntary manslaughter. The bond was set at $500,000, but it was declined for reasons we don't know. But there is more to come. So before we get to the court from Tuesday, let's get to that 911 call first.
Dickey, Quarter Time Show.
Okay, I'm not really sure. I'm at my house. There's an active shooter situation going on at the high school. My son goes to the high school. I have a missing gun at my house. I need an officer to come to my house right away, please.
Okay, I'm not going to be able to send anybody to your house right now. So they're on the active shooter situation now.
I understand that. There's a missing gun there. I have a missing gun and my son is at the school, and we have to go meet with the counselor this morning because something that he wrote on a test paper, and then I was in town and I saw a whole bunch of cops somewhere, and I made sure that I wanted to get to the hospital, see someone going to the high school, and then somebody told me that there was an active shooter, and then I raced home just to go find out. And I think my son took the gun. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm really freaking out. My son's name is Ethan Crumbley. C-R-U-M-B-L-E-Y. All right, so I'm going to put your phone for just one second, okay? And see Dr. Goodwood come in and see if I can do anything for you, okay? Or if I won't. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Crumbley? All right, I'm going to get your name and phone number, and when you have one of the sentences out there dealing with the situation, he's going to contact you, okay? What's your first name? My first name is Jim. And your last name, Crumbley? Yes. Okay. And what's the phone number for you? 248 760 6483. Okay, do you know what your son was doing when he left the house this morning? He had on a pair of sweatpants and a gray shirt. A gray white sweatshirt. Okay. Alright. So he's going to give you a call, okay? I can't give you a time frame because they're right in the middle of all of this. So I can't give you a time frame, but we're going to give you a call so that it's possible, okay? Okay. Alright, thank you.
Now, during that 911 call, Jennifer Crumbley was shaken and all in tears because of all this. Now, I'm going to play you a portion of that trial. I know you've probably seen it, but what I'm going to do is play you guys a portion. I'm not going to play you all of it. Just a small to medium-sized portion of the trial. You may have seen
Day asked her if everything was okay.
Here's the portion.
I heard there was a shooting in Oxford. Is Ethan okay? And then you again.
Brought reading you these things. The day of the shooting, prosecutors said they also drained Ethan's bank account for $3,000.
Reach out at 4:21, correct?
Yes.
And you don't hear back until from.
So these are the new text messages from this new person, because the parents tried to sell the horses to the other person who is now the suspect in the trial. This was at November 30th, saying, if you need anything else, if you need anything, please let me know. Heard there was a shooting in Oxford today. Is Ethan okay? If you need anything, please let me know.
Her until
Tuesday.
She says, I need to sell my horses stat. Actually, I'm going to mute this. I'm not going to play her. She also said, this person also said, oh no, this was what I was worried about. If you are serious, I would gladly buy Billy for sure. During this, he said, how much? There was probably no response. And there's something else we didn't know about this. During James Crumbley's time, he worked as a DoorDash employee. I've used DoorDash for years. I didn't know this. But what happened? I mean, if you were to ask the DoorDash customer service about their employees in Michigan, they'll gladly tell you or won't even comment to you. Or just won't even comment. And so these are the brand new text messages. Not the ones from Ethan, but this is the one from the person who owns the horse. This is one. As long as I can get out of there early enough, because I had to leave work for an hour and have a meeting with Salford at 3. But I should be done with that by 4. I plan on being there, plus the vet said it's better for him to move around and keep it. This was from the dog. And this person said, OMG, need some horse therapy. I bet he would love Mo. Whatever works for you, just let me know. I only have Bella's lesson tonight at 5:30, so anytime after a lesson is fine. And then the other message. Okay, yeah, he'll be coming to me tonight. James is working, he can't be left alone. So does one of our said, I don't know, small horse. And going into this text message, Mom goes for real. Kira, I won't be there tonight. It's okay. Do you want me to work Billy for you? And she said, yes, please. So Billy was the horse. But another part to this was the 911 call. Now, like I said before, Jennifer Crumbley was crying after hearing the 911 call. But we just heard that 911 call and listened to the text message and heard about the text messages. And when we come back, we're going to tell you about this one person this detective who received all those text messages either prior, before, during, or after the shooting on November 30th. And you may be surprised to what the detective has to say. We'll be right back. If you're just joining us, tonight's half hour is going to be dedicated to the Oxford preliminary hearing that happened on Tuesday. Now, we just heard from Allie, from Kira, who is the new suspect in this case. She teaches horses. But what we didn't know so far was that the parents of Ethan Crumbley owned the horses that he had. But we also heard from the 911 call from James Crumbley about the gun. So in this particular case, why would they be charged? Well, basically because they probably knew about it and they failed to take the steps. I bet that's the reason why the parents violated the CPA, the Child Protection Act. But right now there is brand new evidence. So what I'm going to do for you guys is play you a portion, is show you, let you hear what happened when Jennifer Crumbley was in tears when she heard that 911 call. Listen. See her legs were shaking? And what about James? How did he feel? He showed no emotion. Remember, this went on all day. Yeah, she was in tears. Now, the new suspect in this was a detective who knew about those text messages. So, I'm gonna let you hear this new detective. Listen.
Now, sir, I'm going to ask you about some things found on Ethan Crumbley's phone and some things found on Jennifer Crumbley's phone. Starting first with Jennifer, and again, this is the original phone.
But here's the thing, though. The suspect's parents had 7 cell phones. Why do you need to have 7? Well, you maybe need 1 or 2 because, one for yourself and probably 1 for work. But 7? Unless you have a lot of jobs, but 7 cell phones? You gotta pay a lot of bills. You gotta pay a lot of call bills for that.
That was seized from her on November the 30th. Okay. Starting with Jennifer Crumbley's phones, does your data extraction also include internet search results?
Yes, sir.
May I approach them?
Yes.
This is people's proposed 21. So that is front and back. What have I just handed you?
It is the web history, a snippet of the web history for Jennifer's phone.
Okay, and what date specifically?
11/29/2021 at 3:05 a.m.
Okay, and that was taken from Jennifer Crumbley's phone?
Correct, yes, sir.
In the data extraction?
Yes, sir.
People move to admit 21.
Any objection from Jennifer Crumbley?
No, Your Honor. James Crumley. No, Your Honor. He admitted.
Okay. I'm publishing on the screen here, sir. We have a snippet, like you said, web history of 4. What is the search terms entered on Jennifer Crumley's phone?
Research clinical depression treatment options.
And what time was that? What date and time?
That was at 11/29/2021 at 3:05 a.m.
At 3 o'clock in the
And then
morning?
we have that repeated here
Maybe
for
she
this
knew
entire
about
export. Why
Correct.
is that?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Why is it repeated like that?
Because I actually, what I went and did, I clicked on each one of those. It just took me to a different page. As a
So really, why would Jennifer be charged if she was looking up help for her son? Maybe she was trying to get help with the dog. Maybe if she was getting help for her dog, probably something else. But if he was getting help for his son, why would both of them be running from the law? Well, basically because they don't want to be part of this.
page 1, page 2, page 3 of the initial search.
Okay, so what did she actually type in?
Typed in research clinical depression treatment options.
So yeah, she was helping her son.
Now, going back to the 290th.
But there is new text messages, so let's look at those text messages.
Maybe it's just my paranoia.
See, maybe it's just my paranoia. This was
In the next message?
But Ethan says, but when are you going to get home?
And is there a response at some point?
Not on that date, no.
Okay. What's the first response you see?
First response to the next day at 10:21 a.m. Where's your dad?
Okay, so the last text from Ethan about maybe it's just my paranoia, and then, but when are you going to get home? Those are at 8:01 p.m., March the 9th.
Correct, yes, sir.
And the first response from Jennifer Crumley is March the 10th at 10:21 a.m. Is that right?
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay.
now this is going back to March. This is all going back months before the
I'm going
shooting.
to show you pages 171 to 173 in the same thread.
This was over 100 pages of text messages. So here is another one of those text messages. Like it says some weird blank happened, and now I'm scared. This was March 17th, and Ethan said, "I got some videos."
I got some videos.
What time is that?
That was at 6:03 and 12 seconds p.m.
Tell me.
And a picture at the
What's
leaving.
this text right here?
So maybe she's trying to get help from in March, but not during November 30th shooting. So maybe that's why. And also those new text messages.
Then at 9:02 p.m. she texts done yet? Question mark.
And the next text message on this thread from Ethan to Jennifer Crumley is occurs at what time?
Another one in March. I just finished picking up the room.
It occurred on March 20th, 2021 at 2:33 p.m.
And what does he write?
I finished picking up the room.
Okay, what is the next text, please?
I cleaned until the clothes started flying off the shelf.
What time does he write that?
That was on March 20th at 2:34 p.m.
March 20th,
Okay.
yeah.
And the following text?
Following text, this stuff only happens when I'm home alone
What time is that?
at 2:34 p.m.
All right. And then
So he's just reading back what's happening in March. So maybe that's why he needed help. So, yeah. Right. So, I'm going to give him a final notes when we come back. But before we go on break, I'm going to let you know there's another court date happening in 2 weeks. And at that time, there's new suspects happening, including school officials. Will we finally dig deep into this answer like we did with JonBenet Ramsey? The answer may surprise you in 2 weeks, and we'll bring you up to speed on this. When we come back, the final thought on the trial. Look, in desperate times, we have to make sure we take our kids to school when they're safe. We have to make sure our kids go to school and stay safe, do their work. But being scared because you don't want to be bullied, you don't want to see another school shooting happening, and making threats, that's not the way to go. That's just making things worse. All you're doing is adding security. But with these parents getting their help from their son months before the shooting, that's probably taking the right step. But the parents on the other hand here, what they're trying to do is just avoid the situation because they don't want the same thing happening again, what happened in March. So are we really going to believe the parents that they had their help before the shooting? Probably not. But with new suspects, and in this case, just like the Chauville investigation from back in 2019, Kiwi Farms have done a lot. A YouTuber may have done a lot for this, as well as I am giving you these updates. So, yeah, there's a lot at stake here with this. And this all goes well, the people of Oxford will have to either pay or lose. And in the case of these other lawsuits, the superintendent said he denied this. All these allegations. He said they were false. The attorney said don't even comment on this after preliminary hearing, but we'll never know. But when the school official comes in 2 weeks, next court date, we'll finally get the answer we were looking for. Coming up on Friday, the top 6 causes of truancy, plus the top questions you need to ask yourself, as well as children asking themselves, how can I stop skipping school? What can I do to keep up my grades? And for parents, you need to ask yourself, how can I take my child to school every day? It's a very serious issue I covered for 5 years. And on Friday, we'll deal with it. Together. Outside the sting zone. Because together, we can make a difference and put education back on the map. That's all. Visitors, you're going to break Wednesday going to Thursday. We'll see you again for Give Me a Break Friday. For all of us here at YouTube, good night.